welcome to Freshly Served, the healthy vegan cooking show. I'm Heather, and tonight we're gonna do a red wine cabbage. Now, when cabbage starts to go on sale in cabbage season, you can easily get sick of coleslaw. So what I'm gonna show you is a way to bring some really nice flavor into your cabbage, as well as we're gonna lightly cook it to take a bit of the cabbagey edge off. So what I've done is I've started by cutting up my cabbage, and I'm using some purple cabbage today. And I've also chopped up an onion, and I'm using a red onion to go with my red cabbage. I suppose they're both purple. And I'm gonna use some spices and some red wine vinegar to give it some nice flavor. Now, if you have red wine, you can also use some of that, but I don't have any, and I have red wine vinegar, and so that's all I'm gonna do today. I've got a pan heating up back here, and I'm using a very big one. So if you don't have a pan that's deep, you could use a sauce pot and just heat it up here to medium. And then we're gonna add a small amount of olive oil to saute the onion. Ooh, I'm almost out of olive oil. I think that's gonna be the end of the bottle. And it's perfect because that is exactly enough. That's about a teaspoon. Throw that onion in right away. You don't need the oil heating in the pan. You want the oil around the onion to help it cook. So, stir that onion around. Get it all coated in the oil. I normally don't like purple onion, but I do like it when it's cooked, and I like it in this kind of dish where it adds some real flavor and variety to the dish. Okay, so let those guys saute for a little bit until they're just a little bit soft. Now, when you see these guys soften up a little bit, you're ready to carry on. And what you're going to do next is take one star anise, pop her in there. Going to get some ground cinnamon. Yep, cinnamon. I don't know how much you want. I like cinnamon. And a little bit of ground cloves. Not everybody likes ground cloves, and they're quite strong, so be careful with them. And then you're going to stir this around. Get those onions coated. And what you're wanting with this whole star anise flower is you want it to infuse its flavor just a little bit into the oil. So get that down at the bottom and kind of cover it with some onions. And then let the flavors just infuse into the oil for a minute or two. Now, once that's had a minute or two to infuse, we're going to add the cabbage. And it looks like a lot. It is going to shrink because we're going to cook it. The tricky part is stirring it in without having it get all over the place. And you want that cabbage to get down to the heat. And you want the onions and the spices to mix through the cabbage. And I've left that star anise in there. You can take it out at any point you wish, but I'm going to leave it in so that the flavor gets infused when we add some liquid to this. And then yes, you take it out before you eat it. You can either go hunting for it, or you can just take it out when you have it on your plate. Kind of depends who you're cooking for, right? now is I'm actually going to add a little bit of salt here. And I'm going to sprinkle this over the cabbage. Work it in there a little bit. And what the salt is going to do is it's going to draw the moisture out of the cabbage. But we don't want that moisture to evaporate. So what I'm going to do is cover it up. And it only takes a minute for this cabbage to wilt down. So leave it for a minute or two, take a peek, and then we'll carry on. And actually, while that's going on, what I'm going to do is chop up my pears. I found some beautiful red pears. I'm going for a monochromatic color scheme tonight. Normally I like to get variety of color, but sometimes it's nice to have all the same color and then have wildly different flavors. So cabbage, onion, pear, and yet they're all the same color. So that's looking good. It's not soft. When I poke it, it's still, you know, you can tell that it's going to be a little bit crunchy when you bite into it. Okay, next, pears. Chuck them in there. Pears add a little bit of sweetness to offset the slightly bitter cabbage flavor. And the pears, again, I don't like to cook things too much, but it's nice to just soften them, get them warm. Sometimes it's nice to have some warm food, right? Especially for dinner. It's the end of the day, you're kind of tired. Get some warm food into you. Be really nice and cozy. All right, so get that stirred around, and the heat's gonna do its work there. Now, what we're gonna add next is some liquid to finish off the cooking and also to bring in some really nice flavors. Kind of lost something more exciting to say there, but anyway. All right, so red wine vinegar. And I don't know how much you want, but there we go. That was probably a tablespoon and a half, maybe 2. And then if you want a little bit more sweetness, you can add a little bit of sweetener. And brown rice syrup is usually my favorite, but I'm out, so I'm using some maple syrup, which is delicious, but it's super sweet. So I'm being really careful and actually pouring it into a spoon before I put it in the pot. That's fine. And that was probably half a tablespoon, if that. I really don't want to make this too sweet because I've already got pears in there. And I'm going to add some cranberries as well. One more red-purple thing to our dish. Okay, so stir that through. You'll probably want something to offset just vinegar, whether it's a sweetness or whether it's a bit more oil or something like that. Or red wine. That would be where you would add your red wine if you wanted to do that. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to add are some almonds, which I have toasted before, and some dried cranberries. Just for some sweetness, some softness in your mouth, and you know, they've got nutrients in them too, so lots of vitamin C there. Lovely. The almonds, I'm just going to roughly chop them up. I love almonds. And there you go, you're ready to serve. Red wine cabbage. Thanks for watching. You can find the recipe at healthyveganrecipes.net. I'm Heather, and this is Freshly Served.